Hello, this is Alan Wheeler on my channel where I talk about spirituality and the tarot. Today I want to talk about the big three in the Thoth tarot. And my disclaimer is that I'm new to this tarot system, so I'm depending on material that I see online, the Book of Thoth by Crowley, and this book has been very helpful, Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot by Lon Milo Duquette. So let me start by saying we're looking at three pathways on the Tree of Life. And these are that of the Magus, the Empress, and the Emperor. And I've highlighted them here as pathways on the Tree of Life. Now later, the path of the Emperor and the star were switched by Crowley. But that isn't really important to looking at how these three tarot cards represent three elements in the alchemical process. And those are Mercury for the Magus, salt for the Empress, and sulfur for the Emperor. And these three elements, when combined perfectly through the process, form vitriol, and that is also the red elixir, or otherwise known as the Philosopher's Stone, the result of the great work of the alchemical process. These are the big three elements needed: mercury, salt, and sulfur. And the alchemical process is kicked off in the Magus, and pictured here, there's a little egg with wings. And this is the Orphic egg here in the beginning of the process. And that egg, that alchemical egg, appears in several other cards. Just for example, here it is in the what would be the strength card known as Lust in this deck. And here in the kind of Holy Grail being held by the figure, that's the alchemical egg floating there in the Grail. Again, it appears here in the Hermit, and this bird-headed figure is staring intently at the alchemical egg, the Orphic egg there, as it's incubating here. And so we're reminded it's a recurring motif throughout the alchemical process and throughout the Thoth tarot. Now those three alchemical elements, not to be confused with the natural elements of the tarot: earth, air, water, and fire, but the big three, can be associated with the three gunas of Hindu philosophy. And so the sulfur can be associated with rajas, the energy and excitement, that fire of sulfur seen in the Emperor. The tamas can be associated with salt, and it represents darkness, that inertia, that physicality that slows things down, even brings death. And the satras can be associated with Mercury, that intelligence, that lucidity, that balance. And there, in the Hindu philosophy, these three are in a three-way eternal conflict, so that equilibrium is never reached. Each one, something like the Wheel of Fortune, will gain ascendancy only to descend yet again. So looking at the big three in the Thoth Tarot, if we look at the Magus, we can see that his card takes on the shape of the symbol for Mercury. And here we see the half circle at the top. The elements are floating around the magician in that larger circle, and his feet form a cross with the wings and the pole here at the bottom. The Empress, her arms kind of form that symbol for the salt element. And the Emperor, the triangle of his upper body above the crossed legs, form the symbol of sulfur. And not to mention the colors themselves, the fiery Emperor and the calm, subdued salt, and the mercurial colors of the Magus. Quickly, the Magus, the symbol for the planet Mercury, corresponds nicely on his card, and he has the Hebrew letter of Beth, which means house. You can read much more deeply on these cards, but basically he is the logos, the will, the ego that comes from the nothingness of the Kether into Bina. And the ape of Thoth down here mocks him, and Crowley tells us that this is because manifestation implies illusion. So he cannot speak forth without being mocked and ridiculed. The Empress has the sign of the planet Venus. The secret rose of Venus appears on her card. The Hebrew letter is Daleth, meaning door. She is the doorway to the realm above the abyss, kind of a door to heaven. And she, in contrast to the red eagle of the Emperor, she has the white tincture, which is the moon and silver. Whereas the Emperor has the sun and the gold, the red eagle and the red tincture. And we can see this played out in the Lover's card. So here is the red lion and the white eagle. The alchemical opposites are seen in the dark child and the light child as the white and dark royal couple come together, actually under the hermit of the Thoth Tarot hermit here. So this is the wedding ceremony, and there's the alchemical egg there at the bottom. Here they are on the honeymoon. In the art card, this is known as Temperance. And here we see the alchemical egg in the background. We get a dramatization of what's going on inside that Orphic egg here, as the two children have become one figure here. That's half dark, half light. We see fire and water being poured together into the cauldron, and the two creatures have even exchanged their energy, so that the white eagle is now red and the red lion is now white. So what we saw as solve, kind of the dissolution as they're dissolved and mixed together, becomes coagula as they're combined to make that vitriol, that red elixir, or the result of the great work of alchemy. Now, I don't know if you can see, but in the cauldron, if you look at the card in person, you'll be able to see there's a raven perched on a skull here on this cauldron. And that's telling us that inside that cauldron, this is what's going on, the death card. And this is not death as we think of it, but here we see this figure dancing at the bottom of the sea and carrying out the alchemical work here of coagula, bringing everything together. So all three elements pass through this kind of descent of divine spirit into matter through this process. And here's our physical world dangling here at the bottom. Or depending on the metaphor you're using, that's us, your physical body or the physical world, whatever is being considered, there in the 10. And then if it ascends directly up, if the 10 wakes up like the princess, waking up, realizing this process, it reignites the king and queen of the 2 and 3 and the empress, bringing the process to begin again. Requiring, once again, the mercury of the Magus, the salt of the empress, and the sulfur of the emperor. So that's a lot, but reflecting on that, meditating on various pathways in the tree of life, on the various tarot cards, how all this comes together, brings that kind of Kabbalistic revelation, we're told. Thank you so much for watching this video about the big three alchemical elements in the Thoth Tarot. I hope you'll hit like and subscribe so that the algorithm can get this video out to more people who might benefit. And as always, I hope you find connection with people in your life, with online community, and on your spiritual path, whatever that may be. Take care.